Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more unto the breach. Good morning, coffee moaners. Good Monday morning to one and all. Welcome if you're listening on podcast. Remember, we're over on YouTube. If you want to see the clips, see the images, see the headlines, and see me feeling hungover. I'm not, obviously, but I feel hungover. How is everyone this morning? It's Monday the 9th of February. It's been a big news weekend, hasn't it? My God. Well, if you're plugged into British politics in any way, well, British politics, global politics, it was a big day / evening yesterday. First of all, we had the resignation of our Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, and then we had the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny running around, giving it some. Reggaeton, is it? No, is that reggaeton? What's the genre of music? It's a kind of a fusion, isn't it, of Latino and reggae and dancehall and all the rest of it. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that. Morning, Reese. Did you enjoy it? Bad Bunny killed it. I can't say I've seen his entire performance. I was tucked up in bed just as I saw that the Seattle whatevers were winning 6-0, I think it was. I heard the game was quite turgid. Welcome, Lorwin8325, new here but regular podcast listener. Well, there you go. Nice to morning, Zoe. Morning, Trina Cotton. Lovely to have you. Thanks for joining us, Lorwen. That's not Lauren, but with a lith, Lorwen. So what are we talking about this morning? We're going to be talking about, and then I'll catch up with you guys. If you're listening on podcast and you hear me naming people, Steve Masters, there you are. We're going to be talking to lovely Steve Masters very soon on Coffee Moaning regarding his circumstances, shall we put it like that, Steve, in his opposition to the genocide, etc., and the situation he finds himself. He's a green. Well, would you describe yourself as a green politician, a green councillor, green? Yeah, you're part of the Green Party, part of the Green Movement. And if you haven't, do check out our Hannah Spencer interview chat. It was more a chat than an interview, I think, on Friday. So what are we talking about? Is STARMER finished now that Morgan McSweeney, the Princelet of Darkness, has resigned? We called it last week. I mean, it wasn't a great big original call. We saw it happen. I did say he'll be the body bag that's hurled at the press as a last resort to protect Keir Starmer. Is that what's happened? And does it feel a bit different? Does it feel a bit desperate? It was Zoe's birthday yesterday. You're absolutely right. I hope you had a nice one, Zoe. Hope you indulged yourself and enjoyed yourself. And Green Council, Environmental and Social Justice Campaigner. That's our Steve Masters. And a veteran too. I presume that's what we call you, isn't it, Steve? It always feels like that sounds sort of like aging, but I don't mean it to be. We worked together many moons ago, and we'll share in that when we catch up. I voted Green because of you. And Nadia says, good thinking TV. So glad I did. Thank you. Well, I mean, we were very much ahead of the kind of populist surge, though it very much felt like everything was moving in that direction, even at the last election. Zoe had a gorgeous, wholesome day. Thank you. Really pleased. I'm delighted, Zoe. Well done, you. And of course, it was our friend Lisa's birthday. So I'm asking the question: is Starmer now finished? Is that it? Is it? Are we just watching? I hate to use these analogies because they're quite gruesome, but are we watching the blood just drain out from his face, from his inexpressive eyes? Is he in a death swirl? Is it a death swirl? Is it a death dive? Described as an elderly veteran in the autumn of his years in September. Bloody hell, Steve! Let's go and do something about that. So is Starmer finished? Trump hates Super Bowl, spelling mistake there, and Bad Bunny. He hates them both. What kind of an American are you? I didn't understand a single word. It was all in Latino, reggaeton. I don't understand any of it. All we need is Kid Rock, rockin'. So the social media has gone absolutely mental, comparing and contrasting the rhythmic, multicultural joy of Bad Bunny versus the tone-deaf, discordant hell sound of Kid Rock, a sort of Trump-supporting rocker. And I've got some funny memes as well, which suggest Green Day were very well behaved. Well, we're going to play a clip from Green Day. So we've got lots of clips. We've got lots of headlines. And also I want to mention and talk about Israel's plans to execute Palestinian hostages, whilst all the rest of the world is believes, and I don't mean us, but when Western governments, Western media seeks to pretend and keep convince us that somehow there's a ceasefire and that all will be well, everyone's just kind of gritting their teeth and closing their eyes. Meanwhile, in the background, Israel is just plotting, scheming, continuing the genocide, legitimizing the murder of spuriously held and arrested Palestinians. They found a way to potentially turn the murder of Palestinians into a, well, that's curious, isn't it? Into almost an industrial style sausage factory of hell. So we want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about a really quite disturbing headline, which I've got from the Middle East Eye, which they're running today, regarding Israel seeking to turn you won't believe this, Israel seeking to turn the rehabilitation and rebuild of Gaza into a money-making opportunity. It's not that it's surprising, it's the fact that they literally say it out loud. It's just awful. Do you remember Keir Starmer released the sausages? So I've got an awful lot of stuff down here on my control panel where I vision mix in and bring stuff in, etc. So the big news over the weekend, it has to be said, the big news, it landed yesterday afternoon. I uncharacteristically was having a doze for 5 minutes, and then Nadia was like, Mark, fucking hell, Morgan McSweeney's resigned. Here's Morgan McSweeney. The Princelet of Darkness resigns. This is, he was Keir Starmer's chief of staff. He was also a friend of, an ally of Peter Mandelson. And as I put beneath there, this is to simply preserve the survival of this compromised Zionist government. So I didn't see this resignation as, well, A, it wasn't particularly surprising. B, it's always the kind of final roll of the dice before the press, the country kind of heals of the prime minister. If they're to be believed, lots of reports around suggesting that Starmer is depressed and he's down. I mean, my problem with the idea of Starmer being depressed is he's so devoid of human emotion. I don't know if he is depressed. I don't know if he parked all of the kind of aspects of a human personality somewhere else, or whether Morgan McSweeney left the building without them. Michu, you're quite enamored with his face. I must say he's got a movie star face. I think he looks more like, this looks like the before photo for Gollum. I feel like you could see the transition towards Gollum eventually. So he's gone. And the hope, obviously, with this is get rid of the chief of staff. It makes it look like Starmer's taking control, even though Starmer made the choice to put Mandelson in place, even though this government is entirely up to its elbows, complicit, compromised, being used, being manipulated, has been structured and manufactured to suit not just, I mean, the point is here, when all these trails, paper trails go back to Israel, it's not literally just about Israel, but it is about tugging the Labour Party to the right, making sure that you get rid of any left-wing kind of sensibility. And it's always in the more left-wing fringes of the Labour Party where there was no inherent contradiction between being critical of Israel versus being anti-Semitic. The two weren't the same thing. It was quite easy to understand. But this bunch of morons, McSweeney, Lammy, Starmer, Pat McFadden, all that lot, Mandelson, they've sought to kind of tug the party far to the right, and in tugging it to the right, that means they've got into bed with the completely genocidal regime that is Israel. They are beholden to the Israeli lobbying teams group, just like American politics. It's almost like, the thing about the UK is we're always slightly behind America in the good things and even the bad things. And it's like, as America is beginning to, or parts of America are waking up to how bad it is that many of their politicians are compromised and beholden to the foreign state of Israel, financially, economically, in terms of legislatively, etc. We're still just trudging our way towards becoming more compromised. It's like there's not a lot, but there's an aspect to the American, certainly younger population in America, where they're going, nah, you can't sign up to being a supporter of Israel if you want our vote. Whereas here, we're all still kind of trudging like the kind of uncool, out-of-date fuckwads that we are towards, oh yeah, no, Israel, yeah, no, let's all be. I mean, you look at the Bridget Phillipson, our education secretary. She's received tens of thousands of pounds from the Labour Friends of Israel. Totally compromised. She's head of our, she's responsible for our education. And this is in the Labour Party. This is my point. It's never going to get any better than this unless you get the Greens in. It's never going to get any better than this unless you have a coalition government where the Green Party is the majority party, because this is the best we can get from Labour. So here's my thinking. On the one hand, I think if Keir Starmer stays and he doesn't resign, this is a good thing for Green. I mean, I did mention this to Zach Belansky, and it's always a bit frustrating to suggest it's a good thing for a party when a bad person's there, because then you're sort of suggesting really that the vote for the party, the Greens say, is a protest vote. And it's not just that. But I do think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I think Starmer got in because people were reactively voting against the Conservatives after their 15-year sort of effort to completely destroy the country. So, yeah, Rachel Reeves, I'm a proud Zionist. It's like, get a fucking grip. I mean, how, I mean, to telegraph it so boldly without any even attempt to kind of understand the nuance or how that might not float with huge sections of not Muslim society, but just rational humanitarian society, speaks to the thing I often talk about with our politicians, which is there's a sort of evil malevolence and self-serving expertise coupled with crass, mind-blowing stupidity. It's like stupid and clever all rolled into one, which is really quite dangerous. So Morgan McSweeney's gone. The hope is that he will stem the tide of criticism. He will stop the flow or the bloodletting, but I doubt it. I'm not entirely certain he will. I liked this quote here by Clive Lewis, is it, a Labour MP? Clive Lewis, Labour MP for Norwich South, said, Morgan McSweeney's resignation should not be treated as a cleansing moment. He said, McSweeney was not an aberration. He was simply the tip of the iceberg. And I think that's absolutely right. I think it only takes a brief look, and I did send this to a few friends, Steve, you as well, over the weekend. Please go and check on Twitter, formerly X, Jody McIntyre, former Guardian reporter. He goes through an extraordinarily detailed process of demonstrating how, using this idea of the six degrees of separation, how nearly every member of the Labour cabinet and the Labour government and the Labour infrastructure are beholden to and are essentially doing the dirty work of Israel. And it's quite detailed. It requires a little bit of attention, which is all good. I've kind of, in January 2024, politicians from 22 European countries traveled to meet with President and genocide heir Isaac Herzog, a commander of IDF social media activities. The delegation was led by the Prince of Darkness, Epstein informant Peter Mandelson. Newly leaked emails indicate that Israeli President Herzog almost certainly visited Epstein Island in 2014. The Mandelson-led delegation were taken to a kibbutz in the south of occupied Palestine. They were 200 kilometers away from Sarid, the kibbutz that Mandelson's protege Morgan McSweeney stayed in before joining the Labour Party. Now, that's not to suggest that if you stay in a kibbutz in Israel, you automatically want the death of all Palestinians, but it kind of suggests to me you are possibly quite sympathetic to the Israeli regime. Mandelson's group of European politicians also met with Gideon Saar, who became Israeli foreign minister just months after the visit. Last April, Gideon Saar held an off-the-books meeting in London with then Labour Minister David Lammy. So our foreign minister was having meetings with senior Israeli diplomats / politicians, and it was off the record. It wasn't in the register. But this wasn't the first time Mandelson had met with Israeli government officials. In 2005, Mandelson, acting as EU Trade Commissioner, traveled to the settler state to meet with the Israeli finance minister, who was Benjamin Netanyahu at the time. The Mandelson-led trip in 2024 was paid for by Elnet, a shadowy lobby group that refuses to reveal its donors. Elnet's UK branch is led by ex-Labour MP Joan Ryan, a former chair of Labour Friends of Israel, and vice president of the all-party Britain-Israel parliamentary group. In one of their meetings, Epstein informant Mandelson said to Israeli military spokesperson Peter Lerner, the Israeli government might be better off if it listened more to the IDF. And he goes on, and he goes on. And what you begin to discover is the year before Mandelson's delegation, Elnett took a group of Labour MPs over there for a trip. They included advisors to Wes Streeting, Bridget Phillipson, both Labour Friends of Israel supporters. They were also accompanied by the chap on the right there, Luke Akehurst, a more unpleasant Zionist Labour politician you could not come across. Wes Streeting has been frantically deleting Mandelson-related posts in recent days, but he previously described Epstein's best pal as a legend who should not be considered guilty by association. It's up to their elbows, Jody McIntyre, go to X, please check out his journalism, independent journalist, used to work for The Guardian. Lots of legal pressure being put on him because he's kind of connecting the dots in a truly investigative journalistic fashion. And as I read that, and here's the thing, I get really frustrated that if anything requires a little bit of work or time to understand, most people just go, oh, no, yeah, all right. So I kind of sub-clipped it down, created a PDF, sent it around to people. And as people started to distill what was in it, it's quite shocking. I mean, the most common response I got on WhatsApp was, what the actual fuck? And it's not that we don't know this, but what these fuckwads in these positions of power work on is the idea that no one will ever challenge them on this. And we just need some proper investigative journalists somewhere to be able to sidle up to some of these fuckers, like Owen Jones did at the Labour Party conference, which he's now probably barred from for life, to ask these questions. Because going back to the question I asked last week, is STARMER actually an Israeli intelligence asset? Not officially. He doesn't have a lanyard, but it's beginning to look more and more like everyone in the Labour government and all of those aides. I've talked about this before on there. We don't talk about the aides and the secretaries and the chiefs of staff in quite the same way. I mean, we did with Dominic Cummings, but do you know what I mean? These are the ones who are dictating what our politicians say and do. It's the influences on them. When you remember that sitcom, The Thick of It, and you've got, what's his face, Peter Capaldi running around swearing his head off. It's all of those around him that shield him from what they don't want him to know, that feed him what they want him to know. And that's how politicians operate in this country. They are kind of hermetically sealed from actually anything that knocks them off their mission statement, which is why, in many regards, I think because Keir Starmer is so inept, because he lacks any comprehension of the human condition, him now not having Morgan McSweeney, the Iago Machiavellian in the wings, in the shadows kind of operator pulling the strings, I think it can only leave Keir Starmer more vulnerable. Morgan McSweeney went to great lengths to say in his statement of resignation, I was fully responsible for the Mandelson appointment. Well, doesn't that raise questions that if he was, I mean, he wasn't, he's saying that to try and just remove the heat from Keir Starmer. This is quite literally Morgan McSweeney falling on his sword this is his last strategic move to maintain the Keir Starmer premiership. But let's just step towards the idea that perhaps he was fully responsible. Hang on a minute. How come a chief of staff is dictating who? It's not that this hasn't happened before, but he's admitting it. No one seems to be seizing upon that detail. Really? He was fully responsible for Mandelson's appointment? Well, that in and of itself is bad, isn't it? So I realize it's quite a lot of kind of detail in that PDF I was just reading from. But how does that make you feel? Again, it's like we were talking, you mentioned over the weekend, Steve Masters, it's not surprising. It's not shocking to most of us. It's like anyone who was plugged into the Middle East for decades over the years knew that when October the 7th happened, a number of things. Firstly, you couldn't and you shouldn't accept anything that the Israeli Foreign Ministry or the Israeli regime presents to you as fact. It's just a fact. This has been said by American intelligence agencies and other intelligence agencies around the world. You can't trust at first hand what they're saying. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, innocent people weren't killed on October the 7th. Of course they were. But the first thing you think when you're plugged into the history of the region was, okay, well, we've got to take stock here. But of course, no one took stock. Everyone just took what they said as gold and ran with it. And then we also knew, anyone who was plugged into the region knew that what was coming next could well be infinitely worse than anything we'd seen before. And lo betide, it happened. Woe betide, it happened. It happened. And it's not about being proven right. But when people were hesitant, when people were like, yeah, this is awful, we'll call it out. It's an awful atrocity, October the 7th. But at the same time, it's like, well, can we just pause just for a minute? Because this could be the thing that justifies the thing. And, you know, one has to tread carefully around this because so many social media platforms, if you question the actual nature of October the 7th, it's a little bit like if you challenge the notion of vaccines and COVID, you know, it's for some reason, the entire world suddenly has a heart attack. But it's okay for even the IDF to admit that they've killed at least 71,000 Palestinians. So seeing as we're with, so that's my point. In terms of this government, it's not a bunch of lunatic, fringe, progressive Palestinian supporters wanting to keep fucking rinsing the same thing. There are facts there that are unpalatable, suspicious. I believe there is a what's it called when you sign something? A petition to challenge and question, knocking around. I'll share it on my Instagram and I'll put the link under here in the description box. There is a petition to inquire and investigate the extent to which our government and governance is compromised by the influence of the Israeli lobbying machine. Forever and a day, we're told to care about the fact that Russia or China is influencing our politics and our society, but we're told to say fuck diddly squat about Israel. And this idea that they were once our ally or were an ally, well, we might have been allies with them as a government, but that doesn't make the people of, I've never been an ally of most of the regimes of Israel over the years. It doesn't mean you're anti the Israeli people, though interestingly, even on that, a recent study which I saw yesterday shows that the vast majority of the Israeli population are quite keen for all Palestinians to be killed. What do we do with that fact? It's like someone said the other day, you can't have it both ways. On the one hand, you keep telling us you're the only democracy in the Middle East. And then what you're trying to tell us is it's a democracy that wants death to all Palestinians, because that's what the government wants. And that's what the polls are saying. So, wow, what an interesting democracy. A democracy that breeds and promotes genocide. Wow, fascinating. So on that, I just want to share this part of the story with you. Israel has approved a new facility to carry out executions of Palestinian hostages. Details reveal plans for mass hangings, specialized execution teams, and strict isolation of hostages. Take action. We must take action by protesting, disrupting the process, contacting our MPs and representatives to prevent this bill from passing, ensuring that Palestinian hostages receive a fair trial and are not executed without due process. What makes this particularly chilling is that if you're a young boy throwing a rock at a tank because it's crushed your family's home, you could be, if you're not sniper shot in the head, you could be arrested. You could be taken into Israeli custody, and you could end up being one of those who are summarily executed. This is a way of dragging. I mean, what's the betting that when and if and once this is in place, and I don't see why it won't be, once this bill has passed and once they are hanging Palestinians, I bet you any money the number of Palestinian arrests or hostage takings goes through the roof, right? They don't now need to bomb Gaza. They just need to go in, provoke, arrest, kill. That's going to be the new strategy. A sort of administrative legitimizing of mass slaughter rather than the carpet bombing of a nation. Oh, hang on, that really rings a bell. Finding a legitimate way to arrest people, drag them into custody, and through their own kangaroo court process, execute them. So I think there's no better time than now to hear from Mo Hamza, who's been banned from virtually every platform for everything he says.
Breaking news, and I'm beyond disgusted that I have to repeat this. but it must be said aloud and not read, for you all to understand the deep levels of evil and depravity the entire terrorist entity of Israel represents. There is now an official Israeli plan for the execution of Palestinian detainees, aka Palestinian hostages held by Israel without charge or due process. Reports have just revealed that tonight, details of an execution plan prepared by the Israeli Prison Service following the approval of a death penalty law by the Israeli Knesset outlined the following measures. The establishment of a new dedicated execution complex. Executions by hanging, with 3 guards pressing the buttons for execution simultaneously, reportedly to mitigate the psychological impact on the fucking guards. Complete isolation of detainees held in the execution complex from other detainees. Selection of the execution team from specialized volunteers. Fucking volunteers. And side note, as we all know by now, Israel allows Israeli civilians to watch Palestinians get tortured and executed as entertainment. Next, the death penalty would be applied first to elite prisoners, then to Palestinians from the occupied West Bank detained later. Unlike other countries, the execution would be carried out within 90 days of the verdict, not after prolonged delays, meaning that they will execute Palestinians without giving them an opportunity to fight for their fucking innocence. And a delegation from the Israeli Prison Service is expected to travel to an East Asian country where this execution method is practiced. I'm telling you right now, this shit will not get reported by any fucking Western news network, which is why it is critical that you spread this sinister news everywhere on every fucking platform that you're on. There is no bottom to their evil. And now not only do they get to execute Palestinians illegally, but now they are going to execute Palestinians under the guise of legality, set by a judicial system that is illegal, operating in an illegal apartheid ethno-state. This is evil medieval times level shit that they are enacting. And the world is about to just sit there and let it happen. Israel must be removed from existence, period.
There you go. Go and check him out on Upscrolled. Impassioned, passionate, because it's so unbelievable. Mo Hamza is a Palestinian activist, American. He's been banging the drum. He's incredibly articulate and focused in his fury, but because he calls it out for what it is, because he is as unvarnished as we all should and possibly would like to be, he has been banned repeatedly. His accounts have been repeatedly pulled down from Instagram and various other platforms. So hearing him talk like that, it's an opportunity to be reminded of how ghastly this is. Sometimes one needs that absolute rage behind the awfulness of what's being planned and what's actually being, being cooked up by Israel. Because like he says, otherwise the mainstream media will just simply ignore this. They will just simply ignore this. The ability to transform the killing of Palestinians into a judicially legitimate, administratively sanctioned process is so fucking sinister and disturbing and dystopian. It's and uncivilized, and yet purporting to be civilized. It's frightening, it's shocking, it's outrageous, and it needs to be called out. And the reason I wanted that right sort of near the front of today's live is he's talking about what a country and a regime are doing. And that regime in that country, Israel, is what our government, the Lammies, the Pat McFaddens, the Morgan McSweeneys, the Mandelsons, the Starmers, the Bridget Phillipsons, the Jess Phillips, all these faces in the Labour Party are taking money from lobby groups, and they are supporting and saying proudly, Rachel Reeves, I'm a proud Zionist. Have you heard their plans? How would that make Rachel Reeves feel? I presume nothing. I presume they simply characterize anyone in opposition to anything Israel wants to do as a radical fundamentalist. And that speaks to crass, unhuman stupidity as much as a willfulness to not hear it. That's this Labour government. And we're in a really invidious situation where I want this Labour government to completely collapse. And when you say that, it's like someone said to Nadia the other day, so what are you saying? You want reform to get in? No, I can want this government to collapse and also say I don't want reform to get in. But people seem to still not be thinking, the Green Party are an option. A different approach to politics is an option. And so, consequently, the awfulness of what Israel is planning to do to Palestinian prisoners, hostages, is an example. It's just the current icing on the cake of a regime that all those fuckers, all those Labour fuckwads in ties wandering around the halls of power are supporting, are being fed stuff into their ears, are placating, Lammy, etc., etc. And they stand there with their ties on, saying, "Oh, we're deeply concerned." They're not deeply concerned about diddly shit. So connect the two. That's what this Labour Party is supporting. That's what this Labour government is controlled by. That level of inhumanity. So I'm just clearing up my. Is incredibly good, Mo. So I just want to pull up the headlines that are in the papers today. For some, McSweeney resignation removes obstacle to eventual downfall of STARMER. I think that. What do we all think? What do you think? How long do you think? Do you think STARMER will last? Do you think STARMER's days are numbered? Do you think he's going to have to go sooner than we think? I think they've removed the Svengali mastermind from around STARMER. He could be vulnerable, even more vulnerable now to crass, stupid kind of decisions. Telegraph STARMER's position now untenable, says Baden Koch. Minister urges cabinet to stop plotting as STARMER faces fight for survival. It's just as a reminder on the fact that there are other choices, returning to this idea of when people say, oh, but if you don't want Labour and what you're saying, you want reform. No, look, I love these polls here. Look, how would young people vote at the next election? This was done by YouGov, mega poll, 9th to the 14th of January. This is young people's voting intentions. I think it's up to the age of 24. 30% of young men, there's often the idea that reform appeals mostly to young men. But look at this, voting intentions of young men, 30% will vote Green. Then when you flip over to young women, it's 44% will vote Green. So really, the fate of this country very much sits with young people, but also very specifically with young women. So if you're a young woman, please fucking enact that statistic and vote for the Greens. Of course, the problem we've got here is in an ever-aging population, how much impact will the youth? So really, whenever the next election comes, it really is a moment for young people to change the fucking system. It really is. So I'm just again moving through. Owen Jones posted this. Morgan McSweeney and his downfall reveal what the STARMER project always was. A project defined by kneeling before wealth, seeking power for its own sake, ridding Labour of any principle or morality. It is an irredeemably corrupt project which was always doomed. And their Zionist compromat is one part of that. Let's have a little look what you're saying. Me too. Remember, those 16-year-olds will vote too, and there is a Gen X wealth transfer in progress. But also, under 16s are about to have their social media removed, so they can make under 16s stupid. They could try and prevent them from actually knowing anything other than what they can get on Play School BBC News. Raspberry Mojito Girl, hi there. Hope you're well. Young people need to change the system. It's their world. Go vote, vote, vote. Green is communism, not an option either. You know what? Right now, I would want rather communism than what we're going through right now. I don't know why we're all petrified about communism. Look at the system. Look where it's going. It's only going to get worse. Young people. Oh, we've done that. Green is not communism, says Robert Marie. That's nonsense. Who's this? Musical Chimp. I always say you might not fuck with politics, but politics is fucking you. Absolutely. When people say, I don't do politics, well, that's okay then, because politics does you, matey. I mean, lots of people sort of say it quite proudly. Oh, you know, I don't really talk about politics. Yeah, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't do politics. Oh, well, that's okay, because you're going to be affected by politics pretty damn drastically as you get older. Kids will get around the age band. Who's this? Lisa. Hi, Lisa. The young give me hope, joining Greens. They're not going to buy this bullshit anymore. It's on all of us to do what we can. Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a point where even if you're, say you're politically, I don't know, politically agnostic, politically not, you know, you're not particularly powerfully thinking, oh, this, that, or the other. Maybe do as my grandmother did over Brexit. She was a firm Tory conservative, but around Brexit, she thought, well, this isn't going to affect me. This is about future generations. So it's not that she voted; she just didn't vote because she was like, well, I'm not gonna add my vote to something. Do you know what I mean? So if you're old and you're thinking, well, I don't really know what to vote for, don't vote for fucking anything, or just vote Green, because most young people would thank you for that. Most young people would thank you for that. I'm moving over to America in a moment. I'm just making sure I haven't got any more clips here. Yeah, we did the STARMER headlines, didn't I? Yeah. Of course, in other news, just briefly, William and Kate say they are deeply concerned. I hate. Does anyone else hate that C word? I mean, I'm not throwing shade on them here, but this is the Prince and Princess of Wales saying they're deeply concerned in their first statement on the Epstein files. Deeply concerned. It's like, I don't know. I'm so sick and tired of Lammy, Starmer, Biden. Everyone was deeply concerned. Concern changes nothing. Concern changes nothing. Always use your vote, says Martina McKeown. If you don't stand for something, what will you fall for? Hamilton? Oh, I like it, Donna. Thank you. I love your comments. I love your comments. Libtard Echo Chamber, says Jay Slater. Oh, Jay Slater, content creator. Cheerio, mate. The world needs kind, genuine politicians. Otherwise, it will never heal. Totally agree. I love being a tofu eating, though I fucking hate tofu. I don't eat tofu, actually. I don't know why I'm saying that. But if I want to be a tofu eating, sandal wearing, bed wetting fucking softie. Frustrating, I know, but unfortunately, a lot of young people don't vote. Well, the other problem, I don't know, Michu, you might know this better than me. A statement of nothingness, isn't it? Most young people, a lot of young people, I always remember when I was a student, you're kind of hampered by where you register because, of course, many young people are constantly agile and moving around the country with colleges and stuff like that. Me too, forever a sobering and voice of kind of calm. The UK economy has turned a corner and will continue to improve. That's not even a policy thing, just the way the global economy is improving. In 4 years' time, we will be economically in a better place. So you think if we hold on to this Zionist, corrupt bunch of absolute wankers, they could win again? Do you think? You can register in more than one place, but only vote in one place. Thank you very much. Okay, well, just flipping back to this, I think they should have said nothing. Or do you think they had to say something? I don't know. I mean, I feel for them because they're obviously not involved with any of it, or are they? I don't know. Oh God, let's not open that can of worms. Right, where do we start here? Okay, so it was the Super Bowl last night. Donald Trump went rageful. Let me just remove that. We've done the STARMER headlines. I want to play this. This was an advert that was paid for and taken out because we keep forgetting in the Epstein files the victims. Midas Touch did a YouTube channel, did a really tender, sensitive and meaningful interview with one of the victims. And I thought tonally, sometimes I get frustrated with it as a channel just because it feels like it's just like, show the clip, which is fine because that's what we do, show the clip, but sometimes it's just like show the clip. But I think he did a really, really tender and meaningful interview with one of the victims. Anyway, this was an advert that was taken out during the Super Bowl by the victims of Epstein.
After years of being kept apart, we're standing together.
Standing together.
Because this girl deserves the truth.
Because she deserves the truth.
Because we all deserve the truth.
It's got to be really tough being Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, head of the FBI, hasn't it? They know, they've seen it. That's possibly why they both look totally startled and shocked. They've seen everything, and they know that they're bullshitting everyone. That was just a very meaningful, if you were listening on podcast, it's very, again, some of the kind of comments on screen. I'm just going to remove the volume. You've got a series of shots, portrait shots of heads. On November 19th, the Epstein files was signed into law, and then they redact many of the kind of headlines, making the point that most of the kind of salient points, most of the revealing points have been redacted, that many files still aren't released, and they're holding up images of their younger selves and as younger victims of the Epstein files. I mean, isn't it amazing that with everything in the public realm, there's still an attempt in some quarters? I mean, isn't it flabbergasting how the mainstream media here is yes, rightly talking about Mandelson, rightly talked about Andrew, but not seizing upon any of the awful nature of anything else. I mean, just go online, just go onto social media and search the terms pizza, jerky, the euphemisms and the code words that were being used or seem to have been being used within the files relating to all sorts of appalling behaviors is quite shocking. And what, are you trying to tell me that none of our mainstream media have any investigative journalists left to kind of interrogate the files in a more meaningful fashion? It's shocking. Statement, and this look, for example, Fact Check Politics Instagram account. This found this detail. Why isn't this being reported? I know there's that allegedly AI shot of Epstein in Tel Aviv, but look at this. This is in the files, and I've cross-referenced this. I've checked, is this in the files? And it's in the files. Statement announcing Jeffrey Epstein's death appeared in newly released files, but it was dated 1 day before he was found dead in his prison cell. And here is the front the page. Independent journalism is under real pressure, and UK Fact Check Politics is actively being censored for reporting. Not surprised. So they basically reported that he had died. They reported his death. I think it was on the 9th of whatever month he died, and he was declared dead on the 10th. Why? I mean, even if there's a kind of some potential excuse or explanation for it, why isn't that being seized upon? If not by the right-wing media, because you don't expect it, but by the Independent, by the Guardian. None of our mainstream media is fit for purpose whatsoever. We are moving towards the Super Bowl. Here's another advert that was posted also around Super Bowl, during Super Bowl. Again, I didn't watch the live coverage, but this is kind of amusing and satirical.
What I'm doing in this Super Bowl ad? Well, I paid for it because I'm a billionaire. Billionaires can do whatever they want. They can go to space or commit any crime or purchase a separate yacht to take a shit in. And yes, I can say shit because I can afford the FCC fine. They could also end hunger or homelessness or fix the environment, but instead they are hoarding their money. Billionaires don't want the world to change because they want to have all the power.
That's so sus.
It's more than sus, Hector. It's immoral because people are hurting out there and need help.
What are you gonna do, Molly?
I'm going to give away more of my money than ever. And I'm going to be completely transparent. You're going to know exactly where my billions go and who they're going to. Because it's that easy. Go to wellsfoundation.net to learn more about our mission and the truth about all the fucked up billionaires out there. Wow, does it feel good to swear on broadcast TV. Shit, asshole, tit. Nice tossiness. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Just ripping a hole in the asses of billionaires. I mean, it's not a stretch, is it, to go from the billionaires who control the world to the feudal systems of medieval times, where you've just got a few landed fucking lords and kings controlling absolutely everything. Oh God, what's her name? I've forgotten her name. This references her Apple TV Plus show Loot. Am I right in thinking she's married to Paul Thomas Anderson? She's very funny. Was she also in Brides? I think she was. Saw the ad on Insta. So let's have a look at Super Bowl. It is satire, Trina. It is satire. Whilst watching Super Bowl last night, Donald Trump, for some reason, on Truth Social posted this, an image of all the European leaders, him sat in front of, obviously, what they've digitally enhanced here is the map in the background. And look at it. It's got an American flag over Mexico, Greenland, and Canada. And he just posted this. He didn't really say why. He just obviously just reminding us that he has aspirations to occupy all of North America, all of it, and a little bit of South, Venezuela. That's what he wants to be America. Look at it. It's crazy, isn't it? He's a twat, says Cloda. I love your statements, Cloda. Anyway, so Bad Bunny performed. I'm going to show you a little bit of Bad Bunny. This might get pulled down later. But here's part of Bad Bunny's performance. And then I'm going to show you there was an alternative Super Bowl halftime performance by Trump supporters, basically, run by Talking Points USA. And we're going to show you the compare and contrast. So this is a clip from Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny just made America great again. Let's go.
God bless America. Sea Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Perú, Ecuador, Brasil, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Panamá, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, México, Cuba, República Dominicana, Jamaica, Haití, las Antillas, United States, Canadá, and my motherland, mi patria, Puerto Rico. Seguimos aquí.
Okay, so that's Bad Bunny, but let's see what all of Trump's supporters were watching. Okay, they weren't watching that. It wasn't quite like that, but it wasn't too far from that. Here's an actual clip from Talking Points performance.
No Rogaine in the propane flow. The chosen one, I'm the living proof. The gift to gab from the city of truth. You know I jab, stab, and not critics back. And I did not start a win. I said that. I'm going platinum, selling rhymes. I went platinum 7 times.
Oh my God, watching conservatives and Republicans trying to find the rhythm. Let's just turn the volume down for a minute. Look, J.D. Vance's wife looks like she's in purgatory. So let's just have a look. Look, there he is singing. Look, cut to J.D. Vance in a minute. He's trying to nod. She's like, oh God. She just vomited into her mouth. Kid Rock with his stupid cap. Didn't he sing a song about having sex with underage girls? I mean, with children. Look, Republicans trying to dance. Oh God. So Bad Bunny, he completely knocked it all apart. He did the doobry. Let me show you this. Pedro Pascal was spotted in the background. There he is. I know which part I'd rather be at. So Pedro having a party. Meanwhile, back at Talking Point USA. Oh, dead. But then Green Day came on and said this.
From all the ICE agents out wherever you are, quit your shitty ass job. Because when this is over, and it will be over at some point in time, Christy Nome, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, they're gonna drop you like a bad fucking habit. Come on this side of the line.
Meanwhile, back over at Talking Point USA.
Oh, dead, or to heaven or hell.
Oh, it was anyway. Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. The Super Bowl halftime show is absolutely terrible, one of the worst ever. It makes no sense, is an affront to the greatness of America, and doesn't represent our standards of success, creativity, or excellence. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying, and the dancing is disgusting, especially for young children who are watching that from throughout the USA. Though when I do that, it looks like I'm jerking off 2 giraffes. Oh yeah. The show is just a slap in the face to our country, which is setting new standards and records every day, including the best stock market. There is nothing inspirational about this mess of a halftime show, and watch. It will get great reviews from the fake news media. There is no fake news media left. Hasn't he put Zionist stooges in charge of every single fucking news outlet in the planet? I think he has. By the way, the NFL should immediately replace its ridiculous new kickoff rule. Oh my God, he just doesn't stop, does he? He's like a speaking, talking, flatulent anus. It's exactly what he is. And just to add further insult to injury, he also had a go at an American skier at the Winter Olympics. Did anyone see this?
Donald Trump is here in Florida for the weekend, but he is calling one of the members of Team USA at the Winter Olympics in Italy a, quote, real loser, adding that he believes it will be difficult to cheer on this person. Now, this comes after freestyle skier Hunter Hess said this. Take a listen.
I think it brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
Fair dues. Fair dues. You're allowed to do that. But Donald Trump, you're either all in or you're all out. Bad Bunny, English is not my first language, but it's okay. It's not America's first language either. So there you go. Oh, and I love this. This is a funny meme just to sign off on. Terrified conservatives, say The Onion, lose ability to speak English after exposure to Bad Bunny performance. They've also, watching Kid Rock, have lost all concept of the idea of rhythm. So they'll get Stacey Randall, incredibly kind, has just gifted 10 anonymous memberships to 10 of you will suddenly become members, and you will be able to join us for the Sunday show tomorrow night, Tuesday, live on the channel, where we don't talk about any politics whatsoever. You'll be delighted by that. So guys, that's your lot. Lots landing on the channel. There's lots of movie trailers landed last night. They're going to be reacted to. There's movie reviews. You've got a vlog coming, all sorts of stuff coming your way. Stay tuned and have a great day. And thanks as ever for all of your comments. And Stacey, incredibly kind. Lots of people thanking you very much. And Sabah Shaukat says, stock market skewed by defense companies. Wonder why? Yeah, absolutely. And mining companies, as everyone flocks into gold as well. Take care, guys. Thanks.